And this is Port Lockroy. It sounds a lot grander than it is, little more than a couple of large huts on a rocky promontory. But Port Lockroy is actually the name of the bay as well. The station is manned by 3 people, and there's a post office here. And although we've hardly seen another ship on this tour, the post office sends out about 70,000 pieces of mail, sent by about 18,000 visitors during the 5-month cruise season. It was a research station, but now has a shop and a splendid museum where everything's been restored to look just as it was in here up until 1962, with books, supplies, and clothes lying around as if they were in use yesterday. This was the radio room, where we're told that the researchers could even listen to the BBC World Service. There are many nesting Gen 2 penguins at Port Lockroy, and part of the area is fenced off so as not to disturb them. One of the research projects still being done is to compare the penguins who are fenced off from visitors with those in the area where visitors are allowed. The aim is to show what impact tourism is having. It was really cold here. It started snowing and the wind was howling, and we suddenly became aware of how nasty Antarctic weather can be, especially as we spotted that our ship, the Molchanov, was dragging her anchor and on the move. Once we were in the Zodiacs, they had to chase the ship, which was moving along the bay, to find a new anchorage. Safely on board again, there was a flurry of activity on the bridge because about 6 humpback whales were spotted. A couple of them were very close to the ship.
had time to go 3 times.
But I'll fit it in the car. Oh,
Wow.
Ooh, good job, right?
The bows.
Oh,
What's the weight? Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, another one.
I
Again.
just turned the corner going, oh my
Whoa, there you go, Jessica.
Wow.
Oop, no pail.
The Drake Passage is the body of water between the South Shetland Islands and Cape Horn, the tip of South America. We're told that sometimes it can be so calm that it's referred to as the Drake Lake. Not for us, though. Last night in the dining room, we were watching a film when the ship made a sudden sideways lurch when it was hit by a wave. A lot of things and people were thrown to the floor, including me. Salt and pepper pots were hurled from their window ledge positions, and fruit, milk, and tea were strewn across the floor. When we went back to the cabin, we discovered that a few other things had moved. The TV and DVD player were on the floor, as well as the tape cassette player. Other things were thrown around, and David later found the TV remote control in his bed. But things were to get worse. Soon after midnight, as we were being shunted from one end of our beds to the other, and as other loose objects ended up wherever they were hurled, the mirror near the cabin door shattered into thousands of pieces. It was about 4 feet high and 2 feet wide and fixed to the wall. In the dark, David looked across to see what had happened. All he could see was the floor shimmering with reflections, and assumed that there was water in the cabin. There was little we could do but make sure that we had shoes on if we had to walk to the bathroom. There was no wake-up call this morning, but we didn't need one. The first thing David did was to tell someone about the devastation in the cabin. The floor was just covered in broken glass. Some pieces were large, but most of it was in small shards. Our cleaner was sent to clear it up, and to our surprise, she refused to wear gloves and picked it all up with her bare hands. She put it all into a cardboard box and then hoovered the carpet. But things were to get worse. After breakfast, I decided that I couldn't stand being thrown all over the place and took to my bed. After getting up for lunch, I went back to bed again. It was nothing to do with being tired. It just felt the safest place to be. David, meanwhile, was loving it. He spent most of the day up on the bridge, filming waves, and waves, and more waves. With this bad weather, the last few days were busy for Dan, the ship's doctor. Stephen hurt his ribs being thrown around, and Urs, who is diabetic, was just injecting himself when he was thrown right across their cabin. He hit a chair on the way and cut his leg badly from knee to ankle, and also damaged his ankle. Nancy was thrown backwards off a chair and was lucky not to have broken some ribs.
Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a reminder that in 10 minutes time at 3 o'clock we're going to be showing part 7, the final episode of The Last Place on Earth. And if you're interested, that'll be taking place in 10 minutes time in the portside dining room. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, we have just altered course, and as you've noticed, we are starting to be rocking and rolling a little bit more. So do make sure as you're moving about for the next half hour to an hour, make sure that you hold on to the railing, and hopefully this is going to bring us in closer to shore and a little bit more of a lee.
After a flight from Ushuaia, we were suddenly back again in the summer heat of Buenos Aires. We were told that the temperature here on New Year's Day had been 46 degrees centigrade. We had 2 days in the city before catching our night flight back to Madrid. So we did a little sightseeing, a little lazing by the pool, and went to a wonderful restaurant in La Boca called El Obrero. Nobody at the hotel had heard of it, neither had the taxi driver, who had a difficult time finding it. But a lady in the queue behind us at Barcelona airport the year before had told us all about it, and said that we really shouldn't miss it. And she was right. This was the end of the holiday that we nearly didn't have. David's sciatica was so bad a few weeks ago that we only decided the day before that we would actually travel. It put a lot of pressure on him, but he managed it, and we had, to use a cliché, the most amazing trip of a lifetime.